Hi, everybody. My name is David Mashian, and I'm Dave, the real estate guy. Today, we're covering Chapter 7, where we're going to cover the subject of know how you add value and show how you add value. This is a critical component to becoming a successful real estate broker, even residential, whether you're commercial or residential. Your client has to know, what do you bring and why should they hire you? Why why should they give you the business? What are you going to do? How are you going to help them basically sell their property for the maximum price? Basically, that's all they want to know. How are you going to sell it for the most money and in the shortest amount of time? What are you going to do? How are you going to bring value? If all you can offer is, hey, I'm going to put your property on MLS, that's not giving anything. That's every schmo out there can do that. That takes zero talent. So you have to be able to know what you do and how does what you do contribute to the value of the business you're in, and how is it going to help your client get what they want. And the better you do this, the better you communicate this, the more successful you'll be in getting more listings. And I cannot stress how many times I've seen where I've gone into training sessions where people who are literally brand new or years in the business can't say what they do. What do you do that brings value to your client? They have no idea. So, in this next segment, I'm going to cover step by step what you can use for yourself. You can use all of it. How you're going to bring value to your client, your prospects. And this should be communicated all the time. Parts of it, all of it. You can communicate this on the phone, parts of it, so you don't have a very long phone call. At your initial meeting, this should definitely be communicated. In fact, I made a brochure, a printed brochure that I leave behind with my clients or prospects about what we do. Having a printed document hand delivered to them and it has some weight and substance really goes a long way. It's professionally bound, it's full color, heavy paper, and it makes all the difference. And I really recommend you do that. Okay, so starting on this, the first is, and this is an actual brochure. I literally took a screenshot of my brochure. This is page 1 when I was working at Coldwell Banker. This is the first page. My team was called Mashian Associates, and what we did, sales, leasing, and advisory. Okay, Coldwell Banker commercial. This is a great graphic, very impactful. Page 2. I told them, you leverage the power of the company, Coldwell Banker commercial. Look at all the offices that you see across the country. Look at all these little yellow dots everywhere. This is how you leverage the company. When you list with Coldwell Banker commercial, this listing that you give me goes to the entire Coldwell Banker commercial team. It goes to every office. Everybody knows about your listing. And they're actively and eagerly wanting to market this property to their buyers. I go into a history about the company, which you can see at the bottom. When was it founded? It doesn't even have to be Coldwell Banker. It could be whoever you want, whoever you're working with. But when was it founded? Why was it founded? What was the principles upon which the company was founded? How many agents are there in the company? How many offices are there in the company? Are they international? Are they domestic? Do you have a specialization in the company? Is it sales? Is it leasing? Is it a product type? Office, industrial, retail, multifamily, whatever. How many listings do you have? And you can tell them that they can tap into the vast company resources and sell their property for the highest price. We tell them also that it says national listing campaign to over 3,000 CBC professionals. It could be the number of agents you have in your company. How many professionals are there? Definitely, you got to start from the big picture. The big picture is the company. Okay? So the big picture is CBC Advisors. What do you do now? The big picture is, okay, you're a full service brokerage company. Sales, leasing, right? And you talk about your special things that you feel are important to communicate. I think it's integrity and experience. Those are key elements to communicate to a principal. They want to know that they can trust you, and they want to know that you know what you're doing. I provide a bio. Now, if you're new to the company, provide a bio. It doesn't have to be like you're the superstar broker of the century. Anything you can put in there that you think is relevant to the position, as well as makes you more human in their eyes, really adds value to their ability to relate to you, right? And then I put in my background, my education, my contact information, my photo. Even though they see me, I still put my photo. That photo ends up becoming your trademark. Also, what is your work ethic? What do you bring personally? David Mashian, I'm working for you. I have passion, experience, and integrity. Here are the 10 qualities that I bring to you. Okay, now I'm going to read them out to you because I want you to be able to take this down for yourself and use it. Dedicating to achieving client goals. That's what the client wants to hear. Hey, I'm dedicated to achieving what you want. You want the sale or lease of this property. Tenacious and enthusiastic service. They want to know you're a pit bull. You're out there making it happen for them. And you're also committed to a long-term client relationship. That it's not just a one-time deal here. It's not a one and done. You go in there and you're going to have a long-term relationship with this client. That way they know that if you build a relationship with them, hey, this is not just a one-time thing with them. That you're in there to create a relationship, so you're going to treat them right. And then proactive cooperation with other brokers. Now, this kind of seems obvious from the residential side of the world where everything's posted on the MLS and cooperation is assumed. But on commercial, it's not done. And even in residential, it's not done so often. I mean, I've experienced plenty of times where it's not so cooperative. So that cooperation goes a long way, because if you say, if I cooperate with everybody, and by my cooperation, I leverage the power of all the brokers to get you the highest price. And you got to state it. State the obvious. You're in the business. Many brokers don't cooperate, especially in commercial brokerage. You don't need to name the companies, but they're there. And you want to state number 5, constant and immediate market knowledge. You're every day at work. You're there from 8 to 6, 8 to 7. You're talking to people constantly. You're online looking at deals. You're doing sales calls. You're doing researching on leases. You're doing research on sales. You're in the know. This is very valuable. You can't take that for granted. Believe it or not, you know more about the market than the property owners do. The property owners know about their property. They're running it. They just got a general gist of how things run, how much they can charge for rent. But when you bring a moment by moment, day by day knowledge of the market, that's extremely valuable to them, because the market, the psychology of the market changes daily. If you're really on it, you could see the shifts in the way people are reacting in the market. Number 6, continual communication with client. If you want to build trust, you have to be in continual communication with the client. Even if you have nothing to say. Let's say, hey, I have the listing. We got it a week ago. There's been 3 people who are interested, no offers. Or said there was no offers, no nothing. And I did this. I put it on this website. I talked to 20 people about it. I went to a trade show and presented to 16 people. Whatever you did, you tell them. Because if you don't tell them, they think you're doing nothing. They think you're doing nothing. You literally got to tell them what you're doing and what are the results your actions are delivering. That way, if you need to get a price reduction, which you may, you'll have already made a case to the seller that you've done all this activity over this long period of time. Hey, I've submitted these offers, they got bounced back, they dropped out, they changed their mind, or the lender didn't want to finance it, or they didn't appraise, or whatever. The seller finally gets to the point where they're going to be more amenable to making a deal because they're getting educated about the market. They're getting educated about how the market is reacting to their property. And by that communication, you're going to be able to accomplish a sale. If you need to reduce the price, it's going to be much easier than just having the seller be in the dark, not hearing anything, hearing no activity, and then all of a sudden you ask for a price reduction. It's going to be a tough one if you do that. But if you're, I would say at least once a week, communicate what you're doing and do it with stats. Say I put it on all these websites, or I did this many email blasts, or I sent out this many postcards, or whatever you did. Number 7, honest and transparent dealings. Be completely honest, whether it's good news or bad. They got to know. And in fact, they're going to trust you more. Your client is going to trust you when they know you're going to tell them the truth as it is, whether they're going to like it or not. Even if they don't like it, they'll at least know they're getting the facts. So that's going to build trust and a good long-term rapport for a good relationship. The clients will work with you if they trust you, if they like you, if they trust you, and they respect your abilities. Even if you're a newbie, you don't have a lot of skills, if they like you and they can trust you, that'll take you into the deal. You don't have to have a ton of experience. Number 8, expert at negotiation and solution driven. So you offer a buffer between the seller and the buyer, where they can think about things, or they can say things to you that they couldn't say to the buyer. And this offers them an ability to have some flexibility in the transaction. They may change their mind, but since it's coming through you, it's more easily to do that than if it's them coming directly and it came straight from the horse's mouth. Then it becomes harder to dispute that. Number 9, specialized in a specific asset type and geography. Now, I specialize in apartment buildings in Hollywood, California, Hollywood, Silver Lake, Echo Park, Koreatown, downtown LA. I sold apartment buildings, 16 units and up. That's what I specialized in. Those were my markets. I had a big map on the wall, laminated, showing the zip codes that I was targeting. That was it. I knew exactly what I'm targeting. And when you tell that to your client, hey, Mr. Client or Mrs. Client, this is all I do. This is my territory. I'm not going to sell your apartment, and tomorrow I'm going to sell a pizza restaurant in Timbuktu. This is all I do. This is my daily bread and butter. And look at me. I got this number of listings. I have 6, 10, 12, whatever listings that prove that this is my specialization. Here are the deals I've sold. Number 10, superior marketing materials and documents. Now you want to be able to show this to them. Show them the brochures from previous properties that you sold. Show them the flyers, the postcards, the email blasts. Nothing is too small, because the more of a case you make about what kind of marketing you do, the more they're going to be compelled to want to work with you, because the chances are the other brokers will not do that. They just won't show this stuff. Most likely, they don't have it. And if they have it, they won't show it. And if the seller's saying, I could sell it, well, you can tell them, are you going to create all these materials? No, they're not. And if you create the materials, the very important fact about creating marketing brochures is that you get a higher price when there is more clear information for the buyer to have. If they get a brochure with the address of the property, the price, and the square footage, and the rent roll, and the unit mix, and the actual costs, and the sales comps, and the rent comps, or whatever else you want to put in there, the buyer is going to have a very clear understanding of what this property is. And they're going to be able to make an offer more easily rather than them having to go and dig up all that information one by one, which is going to slow the sales process. So this is all very important for you as a sales professional to make the deal, get the listing, and sell the deal. Furthermore, I put on this, as you can see, my education. I went to UCLA. I teach at UC Irvine, Division of Continuing Education. I was a member of CCIM, International Council of Shopping Centers, and various other associations. Now, these are all good to put on there. And if you're not a member, become a member. If you are a member, put it on there. These all make a strong case for you as to how you are qualified for this position. Even if they don't know what these things are, they see that you are involved and that you are a significant broker in this business. Now, if you have a team, you would put the next page as your team. Now, if you don't have a team, you can create one. If you're in a brokerage office and you're working with your colleagues, and let's say you got the assistant who's doing your documents, your transaction coordination, and you got whoever is in your company that you can bulk up your team, you can do it here. I left the pictures blank. That's something for you to fill in. You could put the receptionist in as somebody who is your assistant. She's managing or he's managing your phone calls and inbound, outbound communications, right? This is all up to you how you want to portray your team. If you got somebody who you work with for leasing, put him on there. Somebody for lending, you could put that person on there. This is all very important to give a sense of confidence from the seller in your team and your ability. Now, here's where we come to adding value. They have to know what's the value of representation. One of the very big things in the value of representation is that you're able to capture unrealized value. A lot of times, a property owner is not aware of the value of their property, not just the price. Sometimes they're aware of the price, but there's intrinsic values to the property. Maybe it's location, it's land value. It has a specific intrinsic value to a particular person, perhaps, that's not reflected in the market, or a certain company that wants that property. These are things that you will be attuned to. And then you have direct contact with market players. If you're on the phone constantly, which I still am, you're going to be in touch with people who are making things happen. You're going to be in touch with property owners, even if they're not listed. You know that I talked to so-and-so yesterday, and he was thinking about selling it, and whatever the circumstances of life they're going through, that they may be open to something. When you never know, but your continual direct contact with market players is huge. And next is the obvious one, evaluating a property for a potential client. How do you evaluate it? You have the sales comps, you have the rent comps, you make your assessment of what you can market the property at and what it'll sell for. And that's very important for a seller. They really want somebody who's in the market, that understands the market, being able to reasonably value the property. And also, you got a national property owner database. I know I do. I still do. I use Reonomy. You could use Reonomy. You could use CoStar. You could even use the MLS. There's so many databases out there, realtor.com, whatever. There's tons of information out there. But it's good to put it in your marketing brochure, because when they know that you have a database where you can connect with your people who are active in your market, that's big. And also, we already spoke about negotiation expertise, saying how you have negotiated in the past. You can elaborate or not to on what kind of negotiation techniques there are, and I'll be getting into that a little bit more with another slide. So this is where we talk about getting the top price through proactive broker cooperation. Now, I always said broker cooperation means that I am cooperating with all the brokers in the market. I'm going to create an auction-like environment for this property. When I put it on the market, I expect to get multiple offers at the same time, so we can get the buyers to compete with each other to get the highest price. As a buyer, and I'm a buyer myself, I know I want nobody else on the table, because then I control the deal. It's either my way or the highway. The seller has no other choice. But if there's multiple offers, the seller has a choice. So whoever wants that deal is the one who's going to step up. And it's critical that you explain how you're going to do this. And that's through your marketing, and it's through whatever you're doing, your calls, your marketing, your brochures, all the things we already outlined. And we're going to continue to outline here. So the seller is going to get the maximum exposure, getting them the maximum price. It's going to get the multiple offers, competing buyers, auction-like environment, at a higher price with better terms and a quicker transaction. This is something I put into a complete marketing plan that really goes through detail one by one as to what we do. Now, whether you want to go over this with the client or not, up to you, but I put it in there because I sometimes I go through it. Sometimes if time is tight, I won't go through it, but I'll leave it for them, or I'll just scan through it. But like I said, what do we offer? Complete marketing plan. That means you have a complete marketing plan. I bet you if you ask any realtor or any agent out there or any broker, what's your complete marketing plan? They don't really have an answer for you. They don't have an answer for you because they don't have one. I think I'm going to put it on MLS or CoStar or LoopNet or Crexi or whatever, and I'll see how it goes. This is not good. So here's what I put down. I create a marketing brochure. I present it at our office sales meetings at our company, our weekly office sales meeting. I create a property website for the property. I create property signs. I put a sign on the property, or I put a banner on there. I create postcards. I do email blasts. I have a database of 10,000 contacts on my email blast. I could put target newspaper ads. Nowadays, newspapers are not so valid, but you could target newspaper ads could be certain groups such as ethnicities. It could be, let's say I used to have properties in Koreatown. I would advertise in the Korean newspapers, right? Makes sense. I have a property in Koreatown. I'm going to advertise in the Korean newspaper. So you got to think like that. If you think the property is going to appeal to doctors, put it in a medical newspaper. Or if you think it's going to appeal to somebody who is, let's say, in the entertainment industry, put it in Variety. You never know. You got to just think out of the box. Create a property flyer, a one-pager that basically sums up everything that you could use as an email blast. Talk about your team, different social media that you advertise on. Also, 1031 exchange buyers. Those are going to be the most motivated buyers to buy a deal. And how do you access those? By looking on the comps. Who just sold? Who's most likely going to be in a 1031 exchange? Look at the properties that sold and call the owners that just sold. They're going to be in an exchange. They might buy your deal. Call all the active buyers that you've been talking to, right? Call all the owners in the area. It's very high probability that the person who's going to buy the property you're selling is going to be the neighbor or just a few blocks away. It's not going to be too far because they know the area. They'll probably buy the deal just because it's in close proximity to whatever they already own. So that should be the group of people you should be calling right away first, the people who own property in the area. And then you could say calling like property owners, right? If it's an apartment, call all the apartment owners, right? If it's retail, call all the retail owners in the area. I advertised in over 226 websites. Now, how did I do that? I basically advertised on CoStar, and CoStar syndicated, or I also advertised on LoopNet, and they syndicated across 200 plus websites. And I made sure to tell people, hey, by me. And they would say, how did you list that on 200 plus websites? And I would tell them, I put it on one and it syndicates across multiple websites. And they go, oh, okay. It's not like cheating, but it's going to over 200 websites, your property, right? Property tours. I definitely did that, especially when there was multiple offers. I let people see the deal to make sure that they're really in the deal if I had multiple offers. Trade shows. Go to the trade shows. If, like you're in retail, ICSC is the biggest trade show there is. You want to make sure you go to ICSC and make yourself known and bring your listings there, or rent a booth, or your company renting a booth, and present your listings there to get your clients. Definitely. You want to make sure your client knows that you're doing this. You can make a PowerPoint presentation. It's so simple. The marketing brochure you got, you can use that as a PowerPoint. You can convert it to a PowerPoint very easily, right? Of course, direct mail. Believe it or not, snail mail works. If you handwrite a letter to somebody, they're not getting any handwritten letters by anybody. So they're going to open that letter. And of course, one-on-one meetings. This is the most important thing you could do. This is the whole goal of you being on the phone and making calls, is to make one-on-one meetings. Even if you think the appointment is a waste of time, you want to meet people who own properties in your market area. And that is, I can tell you, owners of property have definitely never made a point of meeting other property owners in their market area. They're just property owners. They got their deal, they're working it, and they're moving on with their life. They're not trying to broker anything. Here's the list of all the websites that I posted on there, right? 226 websites. This was basically something I literally copied from what LoopNet posted as to who they syndicate, what websites they syndicate their listings on. This is a graphic representation of what I do. I make calls to all the buyers and investors. I market to the 3,000 plus Coldwell Banker commercial agents. I have a complete marketing package. I have marketing flyers. I have target newspaper ads. I advertise in over 226 websites. I advertise on the social media, right? Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, etc. I do mass email blasts. I got a database of 10,000 contacts I email blast. I send out just listed postcards. And those are super cheap nowadays. Nowadays, you can literally order 50 postcards and mail it to your top contacts or whoever. Let's say you got 100 top contacts, whatever it is. It's definitely worth it because once they get something in hand as a piece of paper, a postcard, they're going to remember you. A lot of times I've seen it where principals keep these postcards. They actually keep them stacked up on their table. When you go to visit them, you'll be surprised. You see this stack of postcards that they've been saving for years. It's amazing. Don't underestimate that. And of course, signs. Signs are one of the most powerful selling tools of a property. You put a sign out there, you never know who's going to call you, and it works great. This is a page that I think needs to be in there to explain how to price a property. How do you value an asset? And this is describing to the owner a price sensitivity. It's a price sensitivity analysis, right? A lot of times sellers have an overestimate of what their property's worth. Now, this is a nice way of explaining it to them because you're not telling them this, that the piece of paper is telling them this. And you can blame it on the piece of paper if they don't like to hear the news. But basically, you could show them that if they price the property, you could show the property owner that if they price the property at fair market value, they're likely to sell the property within a short and reasonable amount of time. If they priced it slightly below market, they're going to get a flood of offers. You're going to get a lot of offers at one time, and then there's going to be a big bidding war. Now, the counter is if they price the property above market. Now, if it's 10% above, they're going to get a trickle. Once in a blue moon, somebody throws an offer because they don't want to waste their time putting an offer to some seller who doesn't have a realistic understanding about the value of their property. They don't want to spend their time. They don't want to deal with it. And of course, if it's 10% or more, that's somebody pretty much the market ignores. And the only people that bother making an offer on those is going to be the extreme lowballers because they know nobody else is making an offer, so they got nothing to lose. And that's what they end up attracting. The property sits on the market for a very long time. And the people are aware of that it's sitting on the market, so they're hoping that the seller is desperate. And sometimes it works. The seller doesn't budge on the price, but somebody makes an offer and then they adjust it. It's amazing. And of course, this was the page where I showed the properties that I have for sale, right? Now, if you don't have any listings, put the listings that the office has, right? Your office or your company. Whatever you think is going to present you in a positive light. You can also present deals that the company sold. You can present listings that the company sold. You can say properties for sale or properties that have sold or properties that are for lease or you have leased. These all make a credible case in giving the client an understanding of what you do. So you can put in there what is sold, what's for sale, what's for lease, and what you've leased. Anything that you think is going to make a case for you. It could be something you've done. It could be something the company's done, something your team has done. Whatever is going to make a case for you. It's all important about how you make your presentation so that your client has an understanding of what you do and they have a trust in you and they respect what you offer. All right, that's it for now. So next is chapter 8, and we'll catch you later.